Wilson,
Present.
Commissioner Colleen,
Here.
Commissioner Garza,
Here.
Commissioner Knizik has requested an excuse. Chair Dobb,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I have none. Next item.
C, approval of the February 12th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'm moving their approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can I get a support? It's been moved by Commissioner Colleen, supported by Commissioner Garza. Any discussion on the meeting minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Okay.
Anyone opposed? Anyone wish to abstain? Motion passes. Next item.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Okay, next item.
Moving to item 1, under new business, forwarding a final copy of the Office of Legislative Auditor General's engagements and other projects audit/work plan for year 2025.
Okay, actually, before we start with that, I did have something for Chairwoman's remarks, but I'll have Marcy, our Auditor General, introduce our new member of the team. And then we can go on to item 1.
Marcy Cora, Auditor General. And we have Vandy Otis with us today. He's the new Deputy Auditor General.
Is your microphone on, or move it closer?
And I'll let him take a few minutes to give a little bit of his background.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Vandy.
Good morning. I'm Vandy Otis. I'm a CPA as well as the CIA. I have a background and
CIA, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
CIA?
Yes.
They're like the government.
No.
Oh.
No.
That-
Internal auditor.
Oh.
Certified internal
Get the heck out of
auditor.
me, man. Go ahead, I'm sorry. They're firing a lot of people. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
So I have a background in internal auditing as well as external auditing. I work for CPA firms. I work for a lot of different nonprofit organizations, worked on a lot of A133 single audit, which deals with like federal funding. So I have a varied background.
Well, we're excited to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be.
We love our single audit report. Yes, we do.
All right, Marcy.
What you have before you today, this is our audit plan for the year 2025. And just a little history. We prepared this audit plan to comply with the government auditing standards and the standards from the Institute of Internal Auditors. We developed the plan as a risk-based audit approach to determine the priorities for the audit activities that we're going to take up within the 2025 year. And in our actual report that you received in your email, it goes a lot in depth of how we developed the plan and some background. So it's really good information for the new commissioners that would have an opportunity to read it. Sorry, my hands bleeding. Okay, to develop our audit plan, we complete this annually. We start off by doing a assessment of countywide risk. We send a questionnaire out to all the elected officials and each of the department heads. Then based on the responses to the risk assessment questionnaire, we prioritize and allocate our limited resources to the areas we believe have the greatest risk. When we also send out that questionnaire to the elected officials and the department heads, we also ask them if there's any areas that they believe they have a concern with, if they could provide those areas to us, and then we can always come and take a look at them. We also send out at the beginning of the timeframe for the audit plan a letter to each commissioner asking if they have any concerns with any areas, and we also consider that to add to our audit plan. Throughout the year, we're always doing a continuous risk assessment. So while the plan may be etched in stone, it can be changed. So if things come up during the year where we think we need to go and take a look at, we can always go that even if it's not on the plan, which is based, requests from commission, management officials, special projects, and, unforeseen circumstances. On page of the actual report on page 5, I kind of explain the audit process. We perform the risk assessment. We develop and approve the audit plan. We execute the audit plan. This is where we go out and do our engagements. We report the findings and recommendations to the Committee on Audit. Once a report has been received by the full board, 30 days later, we send out a request for a corrective action plan. Then the OAG goes out and assesses the corrective action the management indicated they're going to take to see if we believe it will address the risks. If there's some risks that haven't been addressed at the corrective action stage, a follow-up may be necessary, and we'll go out and do a follow-up engagement also. And then the cycle starts all over again. As far as risk, the county has 3 lines of defense response for assessing and responding to risk. The first one is management. It's the first line of defense. They're responsible for identifying, assessing, establishing controls, and monitoring the risks. The next function is the oversight function, such as finance, budget, procurement, technology. They should be monitoring the risks throughout the year. Then the third line of defense is internal audit, is what we are, where we assess the effectiveness of risk management, governance, and internal controls. Based on the responses from the risk assessment questionnaire sent to elected officials and department heads, some of the categories that were seem to be each year, they're continuous, is budget revenues and, the questionnaire covers 6 areas: budgeted revenues and expenditures, the last time they were audited, complexity of operation and outside interest and public exposure, regulatory and compliance, management employee turnover or reduction in staff, and then the control environment. So they assess themselves and they explain each of these areas in the questionnaire that they send back to us. We assess and then determine whether they're high level or high, medium, or low level risk. Some of the noted concerns that we see in each of the questionnaires that are coming back, which has been around the county for a while, is the retention of personnel. Part of the problem with retention of personnel has been the competitive salaries and benefits. I do believe, based on some of the collective bargaining agreements, that has gotten better, but we have ways to go. Outdated computer systems, so hopefully when the Connect 43 is up and running for a general ledger system, that will help, because with the current, so the new system would be very important. And policies and procedure, departments and elected officials need to constantly be reviewing their policies and procedures and seeing if they need to update them. This audit plan is based on 48,400 hours. With our current staffing level with 8 full-time and 1 part-time, based on our current direct hours, we believe we should be able to complete 20 projects. We always put extra projects within the plan because based on what is going on, sometimes you may have to put one on hold and move on to another. So we always want to give ourselves extra projects to work on. Some of the highlighted proposed engagements are the EDC parking garage. Grants is always important to look at because this is federal funds and we want to make sure that all the controls are in place because you never want to lose federal funds. Right now, the jail inmate telephone services, actually staff is out at the jail today, doing a walkthrough with staff on the telephone contract. DPS equipment, and another one that was recommended by one of the commissioners was the extended emergency approval for procurement. Some of our engagements we do is our performance engagement is our main engagement. From there, we do the corrective action plans. We also do our limited review engagements. These are the standalone financial statements where we take the financial statements that are issued by the auditors. We kind of break them down in layman terms so the commissioners and the public can understand where we think some of the issues are. We do our Act for Budget Sensitive Review. This is each year. We do that around July, August timeframe. We provide input for budget hearings. And then one of the primary things our office does is we manage the external audit contract, which we're getting ready to put it out for bids. Types of engagements are performance, agreed upon procedures, consulting, special projects, and the financial assessment limited review. And that concludes my presentation, but as I said, in the actual report, there's a lot of good information. So if you have time to review it, it lists all the departments, which engagements we have on the plan, the objectives for those engagements. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Darcel Brown. Darcel has been so instrumental when I sent out the questionnaires. I think I sent them out back in November, and it takes a lot working with the departments to get them back. And I think him and I were in contact at least weekly or every day. So he was so instrumental in getting these questionnaires back to us from the department's headed by the CEO. So I just want to thank him for all his time, even late night calls.
Thank you, Darcel. Is there anything that you wanted to add?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, number one, to Marcy for her patience, because this is a tedious process reviewing all of these assessments on my end, so definitely on your end as well. So appreciate your patience. Hopefully the information that was received will help to improve the operations of the department. So thank you again.
And if I could just add something, when we send out these risk assessment questionnaires, as I said to the department elected officials, I've always believed that our office in the county is one team. So if there's an area they have a concern about, have us come in, take a look at it. If there is a concern there, we can help you address your control issues rather than something happen, then it's too late. But if we can help some way, I wish more departments would reach out to us.
So on that note, I do see that there were a couple requested by the commission. Did we have any requested by departments
No.
this year? Okay. Okay. Any questions by commissioners? Colleen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Auditor General, you have listed out the 48
Mhm.
that you have in there. But you think we're gonna get about 20 done,
Correct.
more or less. Do you have a separate list? These are our top 20 that we're going after, so I know which ones on this list may get added or may not, but there's 20 of them that you are. Do you have a list like that?
I could probably put a list together because there are several, I would say there's 3 or 4 that are already in process, and them are the ones that
Yeah.
have the asterisk next to them that should be probably reported out within the next maybe 45, 60 days. But I could probably put a list. But then again, it also is going to depend upon if other risks come up, and then if we have difficulties, sometimes with auditees, if they have other auditors in there, we can't have
Yeah,
state
yeah.
in their federal.
No,
office,
I
that-
understand all
Yeah, I can
that,
put
but
together a
just
list.
for
ones that I
committee
believe- yeah.
members, this is the way we see it right now
We can put the letter,
at this point in time, and then,
the ones we believe have the highest risk, I can put.
right,
together a
and then
list.
also the caveat, this may change, and we'll
Yes.
let you know as the year goes on. But I'd like to start with, these are, looks like the 20 that we're actually gonna do.
Okay. I
Thank
can do
you.
that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just in alliance with Commissioner Colleen, 48, and that was my question. You sort of took it out of my mouth, but 48 projects, we can complete 20. So I guess my question is that if we have 48 scheduled, but we can only complete 20, is there some rationale as to why we have an objective of 48, but we can only complete less than half of that? Just for my own personal edification, please.
We always try to put more engagements on the schedule in case we can't do one and we can move to another. And then whatever doesn't get accomplished this year will roll over to the next year.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Marcy, are there any on here that have been on the plan for a couple of years, but you haven't been able to get to?
There are couple that's been on here, the business certification, human relations, that's on here. Um, see, the county-owned building and leases was on here last year.
Yeah.
But again, we try and base our engagements that we take up based on the risk. So if we think something has a higher risk, especially if there's grant funding, we always try to look at those first.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Garza and supported by Commissioner Wilson to receive and file. No other questions or discussion, please vote.
Vote verbally aye. And mess with my pad for a little while longer.
Motion carried.
Thanks for joining us, Darcel. Okay, next item.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I don't have anything. Marcy? Nothing? Okay. Next item.
G, public comments.
Is there anyone here who wishes to make a public comment to the Committee on Audit? Or anyone on the phone or on Zoom? Any emails?
No emails were received.
Okay. anyone wishing to make a public comment can unmute yourself or come forward at this time. Last call for public comments. Hearing none. Next item.
Adjournment.
Been moved and supported without objection. We are